Hello, this is Jamie Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have the disgrace of a former American president from Lemon Limelight, and they said from letter editorial in The Economist, the disgrace of former American president was boldly emphasized. For the first time, a former American president has been convicted of a felony, 34 felonies in fact. This historic disgrace should be both shock nation and assure about its capacity to achieve justice. That the conviction of Donald Trump will probably accomplish not even result testifies partly to the corrosive power of Mr. Trump's shamelessness, and partly to the complex, contestable nature of the charges brought against him. A jury of Mr. Trump's peers weighed the evidence and unanimously convicted him of breaking election laws by covering up payments of hush money to a porn star. The verdict is particularly vulnerable to appeal because of the lack of clear precedent for the charges the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg chose to bring. Falsifying business expenses is a misdemeanor under New York law, but by arguing that the crime was committed in order to commit or conceal another one, Mr. Bragg was not able to charge Mr. Trump with felonies. Jurors did not even have to agree on precisely whatever law Mr. Trump violated, resulting in a vagueness that is sure to be one of the grounds for appeal. Prosecutors exercise wide discretion in choosing what cases to bring for good reason. They are supposed to consider not only the likelihood of conviction, but also the seriousness of the crime and public interest at stake. Mr. Bragg's predecessor, as well as Mr. Biden's Justice Department, considered bringing versions of these charges and elected not to. Compared with the other cases pending against Mr. Trump, this one always seemed too much of a stretch to command widespread public legitimacy. And then they put this is the bolded claim they refer to. Forever, this prosecution has done more to help than hurt Mr. Trump's chances of winning back the White House. And as the insurrection of January 6, 2021 ought to have made clear, that is a greater hazard to the rule of law than any fraudulent bookkeeping. He was wanting as a political force for Mr. Bragg charged in April 2023. The indictment put Mr. Trump back in the spotlight. At trial, prosecutors argued that Mr. Trump's fraudulent record-keeping may have enabled him to hoodwink voters and win in 2016. Paying hush money to Miss Daniels may now help elect Trump a second time. Do you do you believe this prosecution has done more to help than hurt Trump? Mr. Trump's chance of winning as well. And I would say it has, because it's only going to make him seem like he's only going to prove his claims that he's being persecuted or prosecuted and all that, and that the system is rigged against him. And that's my fault on that issue. It's interesting for me because George W. Bush could bomb Iraq and invade it on just pretenses, but Donald Trump, he pays such money to a porn star. He's the one who gets charged for 34 felonies for it. And that's just what I think on that issue. I'll talk about that more later, and that's my fault there. And we have I'm back, bitches, what I would have posted over the past week in launching r/Jimmy show for POTUS. And I said I'm back from my that was I posted that. I said I'm back from my 1 week suspension from Reddit. If this account ever gets permanent banned, I'm probably going to be done posting here, since the social credit karma requirement that most subreddits have means I won't be able to go against Circle Jerk without worrying about losing my access to post. With that being said, even if I do get permanent banned, I will still continue to go on with the Libertarian Uncensored podcast based on the subreddit's post, as long as I have access to my YouTube account. And then I linked to the episodes of the podcast I couldn't post there because I was banned by Reddit, so that's 210 to 213. And then my favorite tweets I saw over the past week, I shared those. Yeah, and and then I said, and I'm completely fine if any call-out posts against me. I like to play with fire, and I should know that I might get burned from it. I look like the mod censor all the call-out posts here, though, so I'm launching a new server where you can call me out as much as you want, or just demand for POTUS. I'm taking a page from Trump's slave looking like the haters do the work for me. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Reddit feels like it's mostly DNC doom scrolling. X feels like it's mostly RNC doom scrolling. That's a post that I made on Twitter or X or whatever. And I said I could have added this to the comments I made over the past week, but I felt like it deserved its own post. Increasingly everyone thinks that society's collapsing and that the outgroup's going to take over. Well, in reality, I would say I think everyone's too in their own heads for that to happen. I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon. I think people are too full of themselves for anything to really change. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have New Rule Gender Apartheid from Bill Maher on YouTube, and I posted that, and I said, this video is a good example of why I think that the Democratic Party is closer to collapsing than the Republican Party, despite most people thinking it's the other way around. The Dems simply have a harder coalition to maintain with the woke people, but also conservative racial minorities. And that's my fault on that issue. It's interesting how the progressive left should hate Islam, but they're always calling people out for Islamophobia if they dare criticize it, and that's something that has always kind of interested me, and that's my thoughts on there. Then we have Schumer. Democrats urge Justice Department to prosecute alleged oil industry collusion. Price fixing from APnews.com by Ninja Lover. And yeah, I definitely do think the Democrats are becoming over reliant on legalism and the legal system to solve all their problems. Increasingly, that's why I think people increasingly just view the legal system as a politicized means to an end rather than anything else. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have an unwavering prohibition suddenly lifted. Ukrainian strikes inside Russia with U.S. weapons now permitted from Lemon Limelight, and they said this. The New York Times recently reported on a policy debate with the Biden administration since the first American shipments of sophisticated weapons to Ukraine. But President Biden has never wavered on one prohibition. President Vladimir Zelensky has had to agree to never fire them into Russian territory, increasing that would violate Mr. Biden's mandate to avoid World War III. But against this around the policy is fraying. Now, less than 2 weeks later, the Washington Post reports the White House this week said it is moving at lightning speed to allow Kiev to use U.S. weaponry to strike limited targets inside Russia just 17 days after Ukraine came begging for the capability. Where does this leave Biden's mandate to avoid World War III? We might not be as close to it if he had followed Obama's position from 2016. And that link was Obama's theory is simple. Ukraine is a core Russian interest, but not an American one, so Russia will always be able to maintain escalatory dominance there. The fact is that Ukraine, which is a non-NATO country, is going to be vulnerable militarily by Russia no matter what we do, he said. And then they added, do you support Ukraine's strikes in Russia with U.S. weapons? And I said, I don't support taxpayer money going to foreign countries at all. If individuals want to send resources to Ukraine and Russia, I think that's fine, but it's not the job of the U.S. government to police the world. And as Ron Paul likes to say, foreign aid is taking money from the poor people of a rich country and giving it to the rich people of a poor country, and that's what I think you see, especially in regards to Ukraine and Israel currently. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the War on Normal guys from Shoe on Head on YouTube, and I posted that, and I said, it feels like that was her take on how they tried to cancel the YouTuber Wendigoon. This one guy, I think his Praise Chow's was his name, he tried to cancel the YouTuber Wendigoon because he had weird, bad vibes that could be considered conservative or Christian. And I said, it feels like if you do anything that can be seen as remotely traditional, that the wokes will come after you for it. I'm sure they also were pissed that she wore a cross necklace for this video as well. Even having more progressive code stuff might be enough to save you. Look at Libertarian Party Secretary Karen Ann Harless, who would be unironically referred to as a pink-haired fascist by a lot of denizens of the subreddit, simply because she doesn't think that kids can consent to gender-affirming care, If you disagree from the progressive worldview at all, they'll come after you for it, and that's my thoughts on that issue. And then we have publisher of 2000 Mules Election Conspiracy Theory film issues apology from NPR.org, and I was from Ninja Lover, and I said, Reddit really loves censorship when it comes to D'Souza films. And I said, and I added, I've never really cared to see any of these movies, but I think if people want to see them, they should be able to. And because right now, if D'Souza was the one arguing for the film to be censored, I think that would be fine. I support self-censorship. In this instance, however, it looks like his publishing company is going against his wishes. I don't think that is very libertarian. I wonder if the government might be pressuring them to do so. Kind of like what they're doing with Alex Jones right now. They're kind of pressuring him as well. And soon, I think the government's going to pressure Anita Sen at all, and increasingly that's what it seems like. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Woke Transit versus Patriot Transit humor from Clorox, and that's crossover from the Fuck Car subreddit. Woke Transit looks like a pickup truck. It says, full of electronics to track you, keeps you dependent on woke companies, sheltered on pampered with AC luxury seats, makes you a welfare queen. And then the Patriot Transit is the bicycle with the American flag. The pickup truck has a Saudi Arabian flag. It says, just a frame machine, 2 wheels in grease, and then that repeats a few messages. They put that a few more times against the other messages. And I said, I guess, if people want to find something's woke and something's patriot, ultimately I think that's, an individual discretion. I personally think probably biking's better for you, but if you want to drive a car, I think you should be able to, because increasingly I think the government, might not be able to let you drive a car soon, and, that's something that increasingly, they might shut down your car if they think you're too dangerous. And that's something, they're increasingly saying, we're going to have this government mandated kill switches. And I don't think that's very libertarian. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have breaking Free Palestine protesters block Philly Pride parade from Jack Posobiec on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said the left eats its own. I'm pro LGBTQ and anti-Israeli war crimes. I'm just making a statement there. The left will always turn on its own if given the opportunity to, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Rand Paul's brewing fight with Trump roll from Axios.com by Ninja Lover, and I said, if the GOP made Rand its face in 2016 instead of Trump, I would think the party would be in a much better position currently. And that's my thoughts on that issue. I personally think Rand Paul is far more principled than Trump, and I wish the GOP would nominate him instead. I still probably wouldn't vote for him because I don't, a lot of the GOP stabs you in the front compared to the Dems who stab you in the, no, GOP stabs you in the back compared to the Dems who stab you in the front. But if that being said, you just can't trust these major parties, and that's my thoughts on that issue. But yeah, I definitely do like a lot of Rand Paul's messaging, and I really do think he's done good work in trying to hold that Dr. Fauci accountable, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Iraq War, shock and all assault in Baghdad begins 2003 from ITN Archive on YouTube, and I posted that, and I said, this is completely fine. Now paying hush money to a porn star, that's over the line. The U.S. legal system is a complete farce, and I say that to someone who was never and will never vote for Trump. It just goes to show you that you can bomb as many people as you want, but if you pay hush money to a porn star, that's where it gets over the line. Ultimately, that's 100%, I think, a political prosecution, and I think that kind of proves Trump right that there's after him specifically, and yeah, that's why increasing. I don't like Trump, and I don't vote for him. I think if he does get reelected, he's just going to do more expanding of the swamp, just like Biden has done, and just like he did during his first term. But with that being said, it just goes to show you that that the legal system isn't really meant to hold people accountable, only for what people's agenda is, or the agenda of those who control it. That's who really that's really what the legal system is. And increasingly, there's only one. When the big cities, there only seems to be one rule, and it's a narco-tyranny. You can do whatever crimes you want as long as you don't question the Democratic Party, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have I Like Wolves from Proton 13. That's a tweet from Bernie Sanders, who tweeted, your population is controlled by releasing wolves into an area. All problems should be solved that way. Too much pollution, release wolves in factories. Just like Congress, wolves want to lose weight. That's right, wolves. And I guess I would, if people want to solve their issues with wolves, I think they should be able to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have LPNH does it again from Tom 13. This was a new tweet they had. If the Libertarian Party wants to recruit right-wing right men, the cohort most capable of actually understanding libertarian ideals, not just being a libertarian, it cannot be afraid to use politically incorrect language. Libertarians are not progressives. And I kind of agree with that. I don't think I think people of all races and sexes are capable of understanding libertarian ideas. But I guess you could make an argument that right-wing white men would be the most capable, since they seem to have the most self-dependency, I would say, given the current system. But with that being said, I definitely do think this is just kind of more edgelording from the LPNH, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Oregon defendants without a lawyer must be released from jail, U.S. Appeals Court says, from abcnews.go.com by FlimsyL5563. And, I guess I would agree with that. Ultimately, you do have a right to an attorney, as the Miranda rights say, so that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have McArdle on the LP nomination, more to come today, and that's from Ransom McArdle on Twitter. She's shared with Libertarian Party. It's posted by Dr. 07, and the tweet was, there's been trans backlash in response to the LP National Post nominee, which is tomorrow afternoon, Monday, on a live stream. And, I guess if she doesn't want to campaign for him, I don't think she should be forced to do so. I think as a chair, she probably should. She probably should. But if she doesn't want to, I think I'm a libertarian. Justify whatever you want to, and that's my thoughts on that issue. And I want to see if I have anything else I want to share. I did like this one tweet I saw. I made. Let's see. I also did share. I didn't like how Nikki Haley wrote on the IDF bombs. This is one of the tweets I shared. She said, finished him when he was writing on IDF bombs. He says, this was a so-called quote-unquote rational alternative to Trump as well. That was another thing I wanted to share. And then I also said, pretty much every controversy manufactured in response to Cat Rosen's saying that the Appeal to Heaven flag was manufactured controversy was taking down and flying in front of San Francisco City Hall. And, those are my thoughts on that issues. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.